Dr. D.
And I'm Ashley.
And we're glad to have you with us. We hope that you have been with us along this journey and have listened to the prior 6 episodes. But we're excited to be on the 7th. That went fast, Miss Ashley.
It sure did.
So today's agenda, we have another Imperial Everyday Woman that we want to highlight. Then we're going to talk about Imposter Syndrome. It's a topic that you and I have been considering to include on the podcast, and there's a couple things that happened recently that made me want to go ahead and add that to our roster. From there, we're going to talk about Black Friday shopping. I hope to hear some of your strategies, and actually, you and I have agreed to go out together, so this may be our planning period.
Whoop, whoop.
And then we are going to round out our conversation with the myths and rules for plus size women.
That sounds so fun.
So stay tuned. Get you a last time we had Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
So grab you a cup of coffee or
some
sushi or some tea, and stay with us.
So for today's Imperial feature, I want to give this to Miss Ashley Browning. What I did was I put out on Facebook, I wanted the community to nominate some people that they felt were worthy of this feature, and they chose, I had 2 submissions for Ashley Browning. And so I felt like, well, let me do some digging into this apparently amazing woman. And just to read, I merged the 2 submissions together, and this is what I got. Ashley has dedicated not only her time, but her personal money to the support of our community for years. Ashley is a huge community advocate. She has a nonprofit organization called So Loved that is a community-based organization that has helped with many within our community here in the Dayton area. These 2 submissions were submitted by Miss Holly Vance and Lakeisha Nicole, and they believe that Ashley Browning is totally worthy to be recognized of the Imperial Everyday Woman feature. Apparently, recently she had a symposium called Self-Care Ain't Selfish, which was offered specifically for women of color in our community. And I thought that this was amazing, and I thought that she was worthy to be highlighted on today. And so the word that I thought about when it comes to Miss Ashley is selfless. I know we've used that word in the past, but to me she sounds selfless. And so Miss Ashley, we see you. We see the work that you're doing in our community. We agree with Lakeisha Nicole and Holly Vance that you deserve this award and you deserve to be recognized. Kudos to you.
Thank you for all you do, Miss Browning. So, Miss Ashley, we said we were going to talk about imposter syndrome today, and we always start these sessions with me saying, what do you think? So what's your thoughts?
Let me be honest, I had a thought about what I thought imposter syndrome was, but then I'm not even going to tell you what I thought it was, because that's not important. The truth of the matter is that it was completely different. But no, so once I did some research on it, I had to reevaluate my life to see if, do you suffer from that? And I want you to let the people know what it is you have found imposter syndrome is, and then I'll come in and weigh in.
Sure.
Is that fair?
Fair. So, if you go to Psychology Today or some other research, you'll find in general the definition of imposter syndrome is a phenomenon or an ideology that a person can have. It's a psychological pattern where an individual doubts their accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. And that comes from Psychology Today, August edition 2019. It's this concept of a dismissal and almost an amnesia of a person's skills and gifts and talents that they have, and this assumption that they are being an imposter, in essence, that they somehow have not earned their way, and that as they function, there's this fear of being found out. Some people called it found out disease or found outism.
Yeah.
And really can debilitate a person's progress and their work.
All right. So with that being said, thank God I don't think that I suffer from that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I believe that I must not fail. I do feel like that, but I don't think that it's for fear of being found out that I'm a fraud, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
But I understand what imposter syndrome looks like, apparently, after reading up on it. And what I surmise, I suppose, is that great people suffer from this. Apparently, I read that Maya Angelou suffered from it, and Albert Einstein. Did you know
wow.
that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so some amazing people suffer from imposter syndrome. So that makes me think that I'm not as amazing as I am, or that I think I am anyway.
If you don't suffer, and Albert Einstein did. Next on Imperial Everyday Women, having a healthy self-awareness. It's interesting you say that because Forbes even did an article where 70% of the population, an estimated 70% of the population, at some point experiences imposter syndrome. So it's actually more common and more, I don't know that people know that that's what's going on, but it's more common than I think we know. I think there's several factors that also play a part into it.
Okay.
Underrepresented populations, I'm sure, are more prone to having imposter syndrome, whether that's underrepresented in gender, sexual orientation, or race and ethnicity. Because we don't see our reflection, right? So when folks talk about what's normative or standard, it often does not have us in mind. When I pick up a magazine or when I see advertisements, when I'm watching TV, it's getting better. It's much better than our parents, for sure. But when folks talk about the standard, Albert Einstein, and I don't see myself, it can lend itself to agitating or creating those feelings, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I think is with age. Much more now than even when I was growing up, there is this environment of comparison. And that's one of the things that agitates and increases imposter syndrome or found outism is comparison to others. And because of where we are in society, particularly with technology, it's even easier to make those comparisons.
Yeah.
And I think easier to put out there something that isn't realistic. So I am somewhat of a fraud because all of my filters and the things that my Instagram life isn't necessarily my real life, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that it is a high percentage, but particularly for folks of color and for young people. Now, narcissism is also very popular for young people. Why are you laughing?
Now, am I struggle with a little bit of that.
So we need to put that on the agenda.
Sounds good.
But narcissism, I think, is different because narcissism really is a preoccupation with self. Whereas imposter syndrome is not feeling like I belong.
Yeah, I understand that.
Right?
I got you.
So I do believe that the two can cohabitate, and Scientific American, now I haven't had a chance to vet them, but there is an article in there that talks about how narcissists can and may be more likely to, or more prone to having imposter syndrome, because the narcissism of I'm always looking at myself, I'm always comparing myself, I'm always, concerned with what other people are doing and their experiences will make me feel like I am an imposter.
I'm flabbergasted right now.
Why?
Like, I'm trying to keep, myself centered. I guess because unpackaging this kind of helps you to do a self-reflection. Do you know, I know that I was reading about ways in which you can mitigate the negative effects of imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. What are some ways that you think
Sure
we're able to do those?
Well, before we move on, just want folks to know there's a couple types. There's 5 types of what research says. There's 5 types of imposter syndrome. One is the perfectionist, the person that feels like they have to have all things perfect with no mistakes.
Sure.
And if they are any small mistakes, any mistakes at all, then I am an imposter. The expert, they continuously seek out additional certification, trainings. They feel like if I don't know everything, then someone's going to find out that I am an imposter. The soloist is the person that doesn't like to ask for help, and when they do, they feel like they're a failure or a fraud. The genius that believes that they must be the perfectionist. The genius that believes that things must come easily to them, and if it is too hard to do, then they are an imposter.
Okay.
And then the superwoman or the superman, and they put in the longer hours, they maybe take days off. They are the ones who feel like I have to be super at everything I do. I have to be the best at everything I do, or I'm not legit.
Okay.
So, and you can experience different ones at different times, right? So I can feel the superwoman, superman, imposter syndrome, or superperson imposter syndrome at work, because it seems like everybody around me is getting things really easily. But at home, I can feel like the soloist imposter, and I can't ask for help, right? Or someone's going to know that I'm not a good mom, a good wife, a good partner. So in the context of those 5, there's a couple things to do. First is to always have a really healthy self-understanding. Doing some I am statements that are around fact and not just self-perception. This is where the narcissist may struggle. Right? And some of that fact can come from your history. Look at your resume. Look at the things that you've done. Because eventually you'll have to admit that it wasn't just everybody taking pity on you. If you've gotten this far, if you're in a grad program, or if you're in an undergrad, if you're seeking a degree, it's not that every teacher passed you because they felt bad for you, right? So what is true, and trying to keep your eye on what's truth. Another thing is to do the same thing, but about your abilities. Here's what I actually am able to do, right? And no one can take that from me. And then lastly, I would say is to stop comparison as much as you can. And we're saying these as if they're easy.
Right.
But get out of the habit of looking at what other people are doing to inform if you are on your game. look for some other ways to to measure or define success besides comparison. Because the fact is, even if we have very similar experiences, we will never be the same. And so comparing yourself to someone else will always fail. If it doesn't do you a disservice, it absolutely does a disservice to the person you're comparing to, because you're robbing them of their experiences and their expertise. So, imposter syndrome. I wanted to talk about it because I feel like I'm seeing it more, particularly with women of color. My friends who are wondering, did I make the right move? Am I supposed to be doing this thing? And you and I touched base on it with Facebook about having friends, right? Having female friends. We talked about it last session too. This is where friends are helpful to be like, listen, you can do it, right?
For sure.
Keep at it. But imposter syndrome can also, I think, it really can debilitate a person to the point that they don't grow, they don't progress, because they've bought into the lie that they're not worthy.
That's good. So I guess just to piggyback off of that, one thing that I read that kind of like stuck out to me was to talk about your feelings, right? A good way to kind of do away with those negative effects of the imposter syndrome is to talk about your feelings. Um, Not only that, but definitely be kind to yourself, right? I think sometimes we're too hard on ourselves,
Yeah.
and we don't allow ourselves the freedom to get it wrong. And if you get it wrong, to look at those get it wrong moments as learning opportunities,
Sure.
versus, oh, you're a failure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just stepping back and taking a look at this whole idea of an imposter syndrome is kind of deep to me. And the fact that people, maybe even including myself if I'm honest, struggle with this. And just to be cognizant and be aware of what's going on in your life and be honest with yourself.
Sure.
I think you said that. So
it's interesting. I saw my daughter even struggle with this, and she's in her teens. And it was with band. And I hope she doesn't kill me one day if she hears this out here on the Ethernet. But she felt like she didn't belong in band because she didn't know the music. Now, the first time my kid picked up an instrument was in freshman year of high school, and this was like the third week of playing in band. She felt like a failure, and she felt like she was going to get kicked out because she wasn't any good. And I was like, it's week 3.
yeah,
right? So in that room, comparing herself to people that have been in band the entire time, how are you going to cheat yourself because you have named yourself an imposter, instead of giving yourself a break and staying in it and really looking at how am I going to benefit if I just stay in it?
That's good.
The other thing, white men don't, now let me not say it blanketly.
Sure.
But I've only met one white man that told me he ever struggled with imposter syndrome. And I know a lot of white men. I don't think men, or particularly white men, or folks with privilege, right?
Okay.
Really sit and question themselves. They don't look at a job description and go,
I'm not going to get that.
I'm not going to get that.
Yeah.
Right? They go, how can I tweak my resume to make this thing that has nothing to do with this fit?
Yes.
So I can get this.
Listen, you're saying a whole mouthful right now.
Right? So while we're sitting back questioning ourselves, our counterparts are not. They don't even think this way. They're collecting experiences as much as they can, and they do them as long as they can until the next thing shows up. And women, particularly, because it is a women's podcast, I think we look at what do I lack, while men look at what do I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because what I have, I'm going to leverage it. And we've seen it, right? Men in positions that they are not qualified for, that we would not have even applied for.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And we have more qualifications. How about this? Research shows, are y'all ready?
Let's hear it.
Research shows that men have high efficacy and low knowledge, and women have high knowledge and low efficacy. What does that mean?
That's deep.
Men think they can,
Yep.
but they don't have the knowledge to do it.
To support it.
Women think they can't, but they actually have the knowledge to do it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about it as a way to encourage us. You know, the next time you see a job posting, so what? You be an imposter. Just be an imposter in the job, because the man sitting next to you, he's one too.
That's so good. Thank you.
If you can't shake it, then just do the job while you feel it.
Yep. Fake it till you make it.
Right. Right.
And that's okay.
Absolutely. Just don't mess up while you're doing it.
Please don't.
Let us know your thoughts about imposter syndrome on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We'd love to know if you struggle, what that struggle is like. How are you fighting it? And what are you tracking as it relates to feeling worthy, feeling qualified, and feeling capable to do the things that you've been charged to do? And for those of you where this is foreign and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about because I'm amazing and I poop rainbows, holla at your girl, and congratulations. Black Friday.
Woo, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
What you excited about?
Listen, let me just say that Christmas is my favorite time of the year. Like, I am a Christmas person.
The most wonderful
Yes,
time.
I listen to Christmas music year round.
Oh, Ashley.
I
one of
love
them.
Christmas. I love Christmas. And so, listen, Black Friday is just the icing on the cake because I already love shopping. And it gives me a reason to go shopping and spend money that I don't necessarily have. But that's okay, too, because I get a pass because it's Black Friday.
Okay, so folks, Ashley and I have decided to spend Black Friday together. I usually go out as a way of blowing steam. I don't go out with a list. I may have one or two things that is in my mind,
Sure.
but I don't want to fight crowds. So I usually don't even, I just glance at the ads.
Mm-hmm.
I just like being out. I'm a wonderful window shopper.
Okay.
I also don't mind lines. I just don't want people to talk to me.
So, am I not allowed to talk to you?
You are, because I know you. Random women, you'll see. If you're random and you just start talking to me about the item in your cart,
Yeah.
or you start going through mine, we're going to have a problem.
Listen, okay, so I'm there for you, and when that happens, I'll just jump in, and I know how to play those
Good.
moments. I
Good.
don't mind talking to folks.
Because I am out to not be engaged. I'm not out to talk.
Really?
No, I go out around 10, come back about 5 in the morning,
Woo,
just doing my thing casually.
that's what's up.
So what is your plan? What do you do? What is usually your strategy?
So I never go out because there is something I explicitly need.
Right.
I do that year round. So I really just go out for the experience, and whatever I find that I want, I just pick it up. But probably before last year, I have a lot of nieces and nephews, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've always tried to get them all 2 gifts apiece. Now I'm upward of 14, so I don't know if I can
That's a lot.
do 2 gifts a year or 2 gifts per kid. But normally I'm trying to find a deal on their stuff. So really, I'm just going out to look for what I want. And
What's your biggest pet peeve while you're out? Mine
don't
is
have
random
one.
people talking to me.
I don't have one.
Okay.
I enjoy like the long lines. You meet new people.
Uh-uh.
I'm okay with that. You find some really good deals, especially at Kohl's.
You want us to not be sponsored ever by Kohl's, don't you?
No, I love Kohl's.
We are not going to Kohl's.
Please.
You can go before or after you drop me off.
Really?
Yes.
No Kohl's?
No Kohl's.
Kohl's, I love you. Like, I got a heated blanket a couple of years ago.
And you got the good sheets. Remember the first episode? You were talking about the good sheets at Kohl's?
Jersey t-shirt fit. Like, it's so good. I love Kohl's.
Nope. I love the night. I also love the hours after Christmas, right?
Yes.
So I stay out all of Black Friday night. But also, after that, I'm in the stores till 1 o'clock anyway, just because they're open. I want them to know that they are doing this for me.
High five. Listen, we're high-fiving right now. So whenever you get bored and it's really late, just call me. Like, I'll come and meet you.
Bet.
And Kohl's stays open until 1 a.m.
Anyway. Let us know where you're going for Black Friday, if at all. I feel like there's a collective response out there that's saying, no, we don't go. We hate it.
Right.
But there may be 1 or 2 of you listening that actually loves Black Friday. And to my best friend who's sitting over there on the couch half asleep, I got you. Give me your list. Give me your money. You won't have to go out. I'll get it.
Bam. Just like that.
Just a quick disclaimer. During the recording of this episode of the Imperial Everyday Women podcast, we take a moment to discuss the plus-size community. While this may be a touchy, sensitive conversation that some may not enjoy the laughing hysterically that takes place, we mean no harm and are simply two friends who also identify as plus-size. We hope you listen, enjoy, and laugh with us. Stay tuned for the rest of the podcast.
So here's the thing. I think we should just tell people now it's going to be irreverent. And we mean no offense to anyone. We love you in advance. And this is one of the times where our thoughts are our own. They're not everybody's. And feel free to fast forward if we say something that you don't agree with. But I think it's a worthy topic. First of all, because we both identify as plus-size women. I can say that, right?
Yes.
And secondly, because we're in a world right now where I think we're in an interesting place because growing up, I didn't have all the options that other young girls have right now, just the locations that they can choose from. There also was this, I grew up thinking no one liked plus size women, right?
Okay.
That when you talked about weight, you needed to whisper it. And it is much more mainstream in the conversation now than it was, when we were growing up. I think I can say we.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about store options.
Yeah.
And what is seen on television.
I see what you're saying.
Even Lizzo.
Yeah,
right?
She's making it cool.
Yeah. There's all kinds of folks making it cool in stores. So I thought it would be a fun topic.
I'm excited.
So, what's one of the myths?
Okay, so one of the myths is that vertical lines are slimming on clothes.
Okay, and they're not?
That's not always the case. I can wear stars and stripes.
Oh,
you know
I
what
hear
I'm saying?
you.
Like,
there's other options.
Yeah, absolutely. So fashion myths when it comes to that.
I do think another myth is plus size women care. Like, I look at stripes, but I also look at the style of the garment.
Right.
Right? Like, not everybody's walking around trying to find the things that makes them look the slimmest.
True.
I think they're walking around looking for the things that make them look the
bomb.
Yeah, that looks nice, that fits with their body structure. There's some things that the way my body is shaped, I don't necessarily like, but it's not because of my weight. It's just the structure, the shape of my body.
Well, let me just say, that's probably not everybody.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
there's
just some fashion mistakes that I see, and it's just like, please, but why? seriously. Like, come on.
Like what, Miss Ashley?
So I have a thing for when your clothes are too tight.
Oh,
Like, it's okay if you wear tighter clothes that really fit your body, because I'm learning as I get older, I'm liking clothes to fit tighter than I had before.
sure.
Um, but I shouldn't see every dimple and curve
Sure.
and, all that good stuff. So I would just say to ensure, like, that the clothes that you're wearing fit your body type. But you can push the envelope as much as you want, but just do it with your body type in mind. Does it make sense?
It does. It's not what I tell young women though.
Oh, really? Okay. What
No.
do you say?
I've always said, and this was taught to me by one of my mentors, know the repercussions of what you put on.
Sure. Okay.
That doesn't mean it's okay. The repercussions are okay, but
Okay.
know the repercussions you put on. So, out of the context of weight, if you wear pajamas to a job interview,
True.
you can wear whatever you want to, but know that you might not get the job.
Yes.
So, the same way of what you put on your body, you can
Sure.
wear something extremely tight, but know that you probably look a hot mess. But just own that you look a hot mess.
Would you tell me?
I wasn't saying you, but yes,
No,
I would.
You would? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know I would.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think
I
another.
would ask if you tell me, but I never look a hot mess.
Okay. No, that wasn't saying that you don't. I was just saying I would tell you if you were. Like, oh, you decided to wear that today. I would try to do it really nice.
I hear you.
Does it make sense?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I think another myth is that, like, plus size women can't wear bikinis. What do you think about bikinis and plus size women?
The new bikini, I think, is cool.
Sure.
Right? Because
Okay.
bikini has changed, too.
Okay.
Now. It goes back to all things are lawful but not expedient.
Yes. Okay.
Just because you can doesn't mean you necessarily should.
I agree.
But if you're on a beach and you're with your other and they like it, I love it. Whatever.
I'll just side-eye you right now. Okay. So, what's one that, like, destroys your soul, myth or...
Sure. Are we still talking fashion or just
anything?
Plus size
Yeah.
women myth? I get very I have a disproportionate response to the idea that plus size women need to take whatever they can get in the way of relationships. I feel that about women in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
But particularly plus size women, that in 2019, you think that you have to take whatever's offered to you.
Yes.
Is a problem.
Yes.
And I've said it in another podcast, you're not broken just because you're single.
Okay. Yep, you're right.
Right? Like the idea that you have, your standard is so low because somehow you've internalized some kind of unworthiness, or I don't know.
Listen, I got options is all you need to know.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You do. You have options. And actually, my best friend taught me this. The thing that you are worried about, somebody else probably loves and want to touch on it.
Touch out. I'm sorry.
What you are critiquing, someone might love. Let's put that way.
I like it if you love it.
And another irritation, though.
Are you going there?
I'm going there. I know. See, I'm going to be banned from the internet. Some people just can't maneuver without getting in that cart at the store. But I think some people, they can. Get out the cart, sis.
Please.
And walk the store.
With your family.
Or go get somebody else.
Amen.
But do not
Don't do it.
be in the cart.
Please don't.
Look at a hot mess in a bikini. Eating a donut with a hair bonnet on.
Please don't.
In the cart at the store. I will side-eye you.
Listen, I'm going to start pulling people to the side and having a sidebar conversation if you out there making us look bad. Seriously. I loathe that. Like,
what if they're really injured, though, is what I tell myself. What if they can't?
You ain't really injured. You just don't want to walk that big old Walmart is what it is. And it's like, no, we need the extra 10. We need to hit our 10,000 step goal. Oh, I feel
So
like
get
a
out,
jerk.
get out the car. Okay, listen, somebody out there is mad right now because they need the cart. And I had a horrific experience because I should have been in the cart and didn't get in the cart. Okay. And we are not talking to you. The one we talking to, you know who you are.
You know who you are.
You just want to be in the cart.
Because you don't want to walk.
Because you don't want to walk. Get out the cart, sis.
Please.
Also, I guess we're in the rules.
Okay, what's next? I have a professor that says, what's next, what's next? So, D, what's next, what's next?
Another rule. Don't have 8 portions of food and won't share one with somebody. You know you have enough for 10. If somebody asks for some,
share.
You just reinforcing the myth. I can't stand that. Because one of the myths is that we are lazy.
Yes.
And we just overeat.
Yes.
And if you didn't know, lots of plus size people have a regular exercise regimen. They are getting their steps in. They're eating healthy.
Yes.
I'm in my 5th year of vegetarianism. You would think that I'm putting cheese on all my vegetables. Like, sometimes it's not about gorging. It's about a person's body chemistry.
Yes.
That darn thyroid.
Mm. We're going to make it through this podcast today.
But don't have 10 portions on your plate.
Please don't.
And then when people ask you, is there any left? And you say no.
Shoot. Okay. What's next? What's next?
What's another? I can't. Listen, the whole world can't be coming after me. You better come up with one. Just laughing at me.
Another myth is that, like, how big people smell bad. We don't.
That is a myth.
Yeah.
That is a myth.
Actually, I had a friend on my Facebook page. I'm not going to say any names.
Please don't.
He's not going to listen to the podcast. But he said, like, he doesn't mess with, big girls because they have bad odor. And I'm like, dude, I don't know who you've been with.
No, that's not true.
That's not true.
Actually, I've known plus size women that have taken multiple showers a day because they are so fixated on not wanting to have an odor.
Okay.
Right? Like,
yeah.
they shower before it's even possible. I keep, now I'm about to tell you my business.
Sure.
I keep a little kit here. And it's got deodorant and a rag and some soap and some feminine hygiene products. And I keep it for me and others, right?
That's what's up.
As a woman, but also as a plus size woman. Like, you never know. It could be a rough day.
So I know who to call.
Yep.
Ghostbusters?
Yep. I keep it in the car and with me.
Okay.
Yep. Another myth that gets on my nerves is that plus size women don't care. So to me, it's almost past laziness. It's this assumption that somehow there's a disregard. And I think we talked about Bill Maher. Remember that time?
Yeah.
Like
like 2 podcasts ago. Go check that episode 5 out.
Yeah.
Really good conversation.
Like, that there's somehow we don't care about ourselves, or we don't care about our body, or we don't care how we show up in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I would venture to say most plus size people are completely distracted by it.
Okay.
Right? Like, I'm having conversations with myself that my counterparts aren't having. Does this look right?
Yeah.
About this color. And I think that's women, period. So let me say that to all the women listening. Let me not discount your experience. But just this idea of a lack of care is really false.
I agree.
Now, because of that, I get really agitated when I see plus size women in public that just walked out. And you know it because they got on their hair bonnet and their pajamas.
It grinds my gear. Because I feel like I take time and I think about what it is I'm going to put on and what clothes I'm going to match together.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know other people do it as well, but it's just like, I want us to have a sense of pride in ourselves and to just show up in the world as this great person, the great person that you already are. You know what I'm saying? So.
And on that note, when I see you at the buffet, yes, you. Get one plate at a time.
And let them clear it off the table before you get another plate.
And don't let them stack it all while you're sitting there. Tell the lady, take that away. I need you to take that away. With the bones and the leftover rolls, put it on the plate and tell them to take it away.
Have mercy.
Don't double fist nothing. No rolls. No cookies.
Please don't.
Don't have one in each hand. Don't do it. Because we all out here trying to fight these perceptions and these misconceptions.
We are.
And y'all just reinforcing them. So we about to have a plus size community staff meeting.
And you're invited. Come on in the room. Hey, no, no, hey, hey, no,
hey, no. Well, I hope you all have enjoyed this episode. I thoroughly have. Again, these were our thoughts and our ideas. You don't have to come for us. We're not national yet. Wait till we get on the national stands. Then we can talk about, how much you felt like we might have been wrong.
And how we came for your life.
We hope if you are fighting Imposter Syndrome that we gave you some tools to consider. And hit us up if we need to be your cheerleaders. We can do that. Again, congratulations to Ms. Browning. We see you. We applaud you. We appreciate all you do for our community. And we thank you for all you're doing. Hey, I want to do a quick shout out. You mentioned her, Holly.
Sure.
Holly is doing a holiday dinner. She is still in need of some donations. So find her on Facebook at Holly Vance. And you can Cash App her or give her some of the items that she's looking. We verify that it is a legit program that she's doing that's going to help a lot of people. Holly was one of our first Imperial Everyday Women. So Holly, you keep rocking it and let us know how we can help beyond the donations that we're going to give ourselves.
Do you mind if I give a shout out about what it is? Okay, it's called Soulful Dinner, Filled with Hope and Prosperity. And it's at Mount Enon Baptist Church. And it's from 3 p.m. until 7 p.m. is what the flyer says. And what they're doing is providing Thanksgiving dinner for anyone who needs a soulful dinner.
Thank you for all you do, Holly, and for continuing to be an Imperial Everyday Woman. You all have a great one. This is the last of our first season.
Yay!
We'll see you after the holidays. Take care. God bless.